Germany didn't lose the Weimar Republic because of Nazis at first. Nope, it lost it because money went full Looney Tunes. Imagine trying to buy a loaf of bread and needing a wheelbarrow of cash just to get it home. And by the time you arrived, the baker raised the price. So congratulations, your wheelbarrow is now worth less than a Happy Meal toy. That's not just an exaggeration, that's literally how the Weimar Republic collapsed. Not from bombs, not from barbarians, but from printing money until it was basically monopoly money soaked in tears. And if that sounds insane, just wait, because Germany basically fucked itself into oblivion, one money press at a time. The birth of a broke republic. Let's rewind. It's 1918. World War I is finally over, and Germany has taken one of the worst L's in history. The Kaiser skips town, the empire is gone, and now the Weimar Republic is supposed to run things. But here's the problem. War is expensive as hell. Germany had financed the First World War not through taxes, but through debt. Because, why ask people for money when you can just promise to pay it later and hope you win? Spoiler, they didn't win. So instead of victory parades, they got the Treaty of Versailles. Think of Versailles as the world's harshest, you broke it, you buy it. Germany was told, pay 132 billion gold marks in reparations. That's not just a bill. That's the kind of number where your accountant stares at it, closes the book, and says, yeah, bro, just declare bankruptcy. But Germany couldn't declare bankruptcy. France and Belgium wanted their pound of flesh. The US wanted its money back, too. And so the brand new Weimar government had to pay, somehow. So what did they do? Well, instead of raising taxes, which was political suicide, the Weimar leaders hit the money printer button like it was a Call of Duty kill streak. Here's the economic logic. Government owes insane reparations. They can't collect enough taxes, so print more marks. Problem solved, right? Wrong. That's like fixing a leaky boat by drilling more holes. At first, it kind of worked. People accepted the money, inflation crept up, but it wasn't apocalyptic yet. The politicians said, see, we can manage this. But by 1922, the mark was already sliding into the abyss. Imagine your paycheck this month buys you groceries, and next month, the same paycheck doesn't even buy toilet paper. Literally. People started burning banknotes for heat because coal was too expensive. The German mark went from 4.2 per US dollar in 1914 to 4.2 trillion per dollar by 1923. Yes, trillion with a T. At that point, the money was so worthless you could wipe your ass with it, and some people probably did. Now this destroyed the German middle class, and when the middle class gets nuked, guess who shows up to fill the power vacuum? Yeah, spoiler alert, angry extremists with funny mustaches. Now, one of the biggest accelerants came in 1923. France and Belgium, sick of waiting for reparations, invaded the Ruhr, Germany's industrial heartland. They basically said, fine, if you can't pay us, we'll just take your factories. Germany's response? Passive resistance. Workers went on strike. No coal, no steel, no production. Sounds patriotic, but how do you pay striking workers? With printed money. So, the Weimar government hit the money printer again, cranking it up to industrial strength levels. And that's when inflation went from bad to apocalyptic. Within months, the mark was worth less than used toilet paper. People were trading goods directly. Bread for shoes, coal for potatoes. The money wasn't money anymore. It was confetti. And landlords, forget it. You could pay rent in the morning, and by night, the money was worth nothing. Which is why people with debts, mortgages, loans, were actually kind of chillin'. Inflation erased their debts like magic. Meanwhile, savers, people who trusted the banks, got absolutely.
Historians call this hyperinflation. I call it the money printer massacre of 1923. The Weimar politicians, they might as well be called the banknote butchers. Every signature they put on a bill was another stab wound in the economy. The Reichsbank, Germany's central bank, basically became the international money fuckers of its day. They weren't stabilizing the currency, they were detonating it with every note. By late 1923, Germany was a walking corpse of an economy. Foreigners refused marks. Farmers hoarded food instead of selling it. Cities starved. Crime skyrocketed, and trust the glue of any financial system, was gone. People weren't just broke, they were humiliated. Imagine being a nation of poets, philosophers, engineers, and you can't even keep your kids fed because your currency is a bad joke. This humiliation mattered because humiliation breeds rage, and rage breeds political monsters. Which is why a certain failed artist named Adolf Gas Station Mustache Hitler could attempt his first coup, the beer hall putsch in 1923. It failed, but it planted seeds watered by hyperinflation, poverty, and humiliation. Stabilization, sort of. Now, Germany didn't just stay dead forever. By late 1923, they introduced a new currency, the Rentenmark, backed by land and industry, not just fairy dust. They slashed spending, reined in the printers, and guess what? People actually trusted it. But here's the catch. The scars never healed. The middle class never forgot getting financially nuked. So even when things stabilized in the late 1920s, that trust in government and banks was already fragile. And when the Great Depression hit in 1929, all that bitterness boiled back up. Hyperinflation wasn't just a financial crisis. It was a psychological bomb planted under the Weimar Republic, waiting to explode. Now, here's where we drag this nightmare into today. Weimar thought it could just print its way out of debt. Sound familiar? Modern governments run deficits like it's a lifestyle brand. Money printing, stimulus packages, quantitative easing, fancy names for the same basic trick. No, we're not at wheelbarrow levels, but the principle is the same. If people lose faith in the currency, it doesn't matter how many zeros you add to the bills. Trust is everything. Break that trust and your economy is toast. And don't think it can't happen in rich countries. Weimar was one of the most advanced nations on earth before it imploded. If it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. So what killed the Weimar Republic? Not just inflation, not just reparations, but the total destruction of trust in money, government, and stability. Hyperinflation enriched the debtors, destroyed the savers, starved the workers, and humiliated the nation. It created fertile ground for extremism, chaos, and dictatorship. And that's the lesson. When money dies, society follows. So if your government ever tells you, don't worry, the money printer will fix everything, maybe worry. Because history shows that's usually the first step towards f***ing the whole country. Germany didn't just burn banknotes in stoves. It burned the very foundation of its democracy. And in the ashes, the world's worst nightmare was waiting.